See that, RK?
Yes, looks good, Aaron. Good evening, and welcome to the Allegheny Clarion Valley School Board Workshop meeting for August 8th, 2022. The AC Valley workshops are conducted virtually, and the link to access the workshop is always posted at acvsd.org website. During this workshop, I'll provide the school board members with information that will help clarify agenda items, and I encourage any board member to jump in and ask questions whenever you'd like to. As a friendly reminder, keep the mic turned off until you're ready to speak. And at this time, I'll have Madam Secretary please conduct the roll call.
Carrie Armagost,
Here.
Megan Dreher, Brady Fight,
Here.
Diane Page,
Here.
Jeff Powell,
Here.
Corey Sherman, Jameen Stump, Eric Sundling, I see you're there, Eric. Can you
Eric's here.
Unmute your mic, Eric. And Kelly Terwilliger.
I am here.
Thanks, Eric. And I know Kelly's here too. Maybe she's having mic issues. Moving down through the agenda, we do not have any public participation or presentations this evening. And at this time, I'll open it up if there's any board concerns that need to be addressed. Hearing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. And Aaron, if you could go to page 5, we do have a couple conference requests. We have 2 from Mrs. Logue, our high school or junior senior high school counselor. She'd like to attend the monthly Clarion County counselor meetings, and she's putting in to being reimbursed for mileage and a meal during those meetings. And then she's also going to attend the Clarion University field workshop for counselors. She can take the information learned there to help our students who plan to advance into post-secondary options. And then Dr. Anessa Steele, we were able to find this educational law symposium workshop being conducted by the Beard Legal Group, and they specialize in special education. There's various topics that she'll be working on, specifically legally compliant IEPs, special education case law, and different challenges that school districts are facing as far as the evaluation and reevaluations of students who have been identified, and then deficient IEPs. So that'll go along with our special education audit and some of the improvements that we're looking to make here at the district.
David, I have one question on that.
Sure.
Shouldn't her company pay for that rather than us?
Well, I can make the request, Kelly. I just figured since she was working as our employee at that particular time that we can check on that. But I'll check on that and get back to you.
Okay, just a thought because our budget's tight, so.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for that comment. Aaron, go ahead back up into the consent agenda. We have a few other items that I'd like to address. And first being the substitute teachers. Now, we do have the guest teacher list in front of you. We do have 10 guest teachers who will be on our sub roster that we'll be utilizing. In addition to them, we do have Brad Wagner, who's a mathematics certified retired educator, and then also Sydney Rankin, who's a college educated member of the community. Sydney Rankin graduated from AC Valley, and she'll be a guest teacher. She'll have to go up to the IU, but we'll definitely utilize everybody in front of you this evening. Letter C is a request by Jim Marin to use the parking lot as overflow on the Foxburg Festival on October 9th. We do have a football game here Friday night, youth football on Saturday, but Sunday the 9th is open, and this is a request that we've granted for several years now. And letter D and E, that's getting our kids back into school. Mrs. Sherman and the elementary kindergarten staff will be hosting the kindergarten orientation from 4 to 6 on August 22nd. We normally get in there and I touch on snow calls and school safety, and Mrs. Sherman talks about day-to-day operations, and we generally have the school nurse associated with that evening, as well as Stacy Redding in the cafeteria to try to get all the appropriate applications completed. And then the kids break up and go into each of the different kindergarten rooms. And generally we have a school bus there to tour the bus as well. And then later on that evening, Dr. Jordan will be holding a new student / 7th grade orientation at the junior senior high school. And again, Dr. Jordan will review the student handbook, answer any kind of questions. The kids will be provided with their schedules, and they'll be able to tour the junior senior high school before the first day of school. And then finally, we have the Girl Scouts of Western PA. They submitted a request to use the elementary lobby for registration on September 8th from 6 to 8. And this is an activity that's gone on for many, many years now as well. So that's what we have under the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments at this time? Moving into finance and purchase, we'll be paying the bills and discussing letters A through F next Monday. But I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about letter G, which is on the page of top two. And it's the natural gas contract for the UGI Energy Services. Keep in mind that currently we're paying $2.85 per DTH. And that DTH is decathermin, and that's just a unit of measurement for the gas or the natural gas. With that being said, we did get rates today, and the 12-month rate would be $7.62 per DTH, and then a 24-month rate would be $6.44 per DTH. And we can lock into these rates at any time. We do have a motion in front of you, letter G, to provide the superintendent and business manager with the ability to lock into rates if this comes after next Monday's board meeting, if the rates continue to go down. It's more than double the current rates right now. And Andrew is checking right now to see if we can continue on with the month-to-month contract, or if we're only able to extend that for 1 month. And if that's the case, we're going to have to lock in here in August. So we'll provide you with more information next Monday. We'll continue to take a look at the rates to see if they drop. I was hoping to wait until this fall to maybe lock into some rates as the travel season ends, but that may not be the case. So a little bit more information to come on that. But that's a motion we've had on the agenda numerous times over the years. I believe we're just finishing off a 2-year contract. So we're just trying to be proactive. And then letter H is a motion to reimburse a few of our local tax collectors for software regarding their tax collection services. So Jerry Marin has an overall cost of $330, and each of the municipalities that he collects for was reimbursing him for 1/3. So the district would be reimbursing Jerry for 1/3 of the software program. And then Sue-Ann Shakely, she uses a different type of software program, and this would be for the disk and installation reimbursement. And then Linda Strausser, she collects for Parker City and Hubby Township, Armstrong County. And that would be 1/3 of both of those two programs. We meet with tax collectors each year, and this was a point that was brought up. Not every tax collector, I think each municipality does it differently. And some of them, there's no cost associated with it. And these three, we're asking for 1/3 of them reimbursement. Moving on down through personnel, we do have a edit on letter A. We will be moving Beth Pence from the high school into the elementary school, but she will remain at the part-time designation. We will move her up to the 3.75 hours, the same as Rebecca Russell. We'll have 2 part-time aides at this time, and we have 2 full-time aides who are being paid 50% through ESSER. So after the ESSER grant goes away, those 2 full-time aides will go back to part-time, just like these right here. With that being said, we are going to make a motion, letter B, to hire Rebecca Russell. Becky, she had worked for us a few years ago, and she's with the North Clarion School District the last couple of years here at AC Valley. So one of the IU classrooms Becky was working within, and does a very good job. So we're happy to have Becky back on the AC Valley staff, and we did grant her credit for the years that she had served prior. Now, letter C and D, we had those motions on the agenda, and optimism that would be able to fill them, but at this time we don't have anybody who has applied for the other 2 part-time aides. We'll continue to leave that posting on the website, and if you know anybody through word of mouth, please let them know that we're looking for part-time aides, and we can be flexible with their hours. And then moving down to letter E, we did advertise for the grant-funded police officer, and that's coming through the Safe Schools PCCD grant. And the school district's going to get $109,000 for school safety associated with the physical building properties, and then $109,000 to target mental health for student safety as well. So we'll continue to meet with the safety committee and explore different options. Mark Milford and I did meet with a gentleman to potentially put up window coverings that would have the logo in AC Valley, and we're getting prices for that. And we do have a safety meeting on August 24th, and we'll continue to have that discussion. But once again, if anybody knows a school police or certified police officer who wants to come work with the school, please let them know. We feel as if that would really enhance our safety to have a armed police officer in both buildings. Now, letter F, we did advertise again. We put that on the handshake as well as various other items out there to hopefully fill that position. And at this time, we do not have an athletic trainer. Now, Dr. Jordan was able to work with Union, and we are going to bring her, their trainer over here to conduct the impact testing. So he's working on that. He sent out a school messenger today to get the kids in, and hopefully we can fill that position in some capacity this school year. And letter G, again, we've advertised for that. We have a few people that are interested in this position at this time. So we're hopefully going to make a recommendation on Monday. Dave Sherman was working with one of the candidates, and we're just waiting to hear back at this time. So we're optimistic to be able to fill the head boys basketball coaching position at Monday's board meeting. Letter H, that's Megan Bashline. She's our new autistic support life skills teacher at the high school. She's been with us for a good number of years, and she submitted her letter of interest for the junior high student council advisory position. And that is a starting supplemental salary of $761. Then moving down through the agenda, we do have a number of volunteers who would like to continue to be volunteers. So Jada Collins, AC Valley graduate, working varsity cheerleading squad. Bob Bowser, he's going to be working with varsity football as well as girls golf. Colin McNanny, he's been helping out with the football team for a good number of years, and he'd like to remain in the same position. Christy Schaefer, she helps out with the band, and she'd also like to continue to help out with the cheer boosters as a volunteer. And then our elementary secretary, Megan Dehart, she has volunteered for several activities last year and wants to remain as a volunteer. She can help out throughout the athletic department. She has some kids who are participating as well. So it's great to have her helping out. And then letter N is very exciting for the students up at the high school as well as the local community, because we're able to contract through United Way of Venango County to bring in Deanna Wakefield. She's going to be a 1 day per week career counselor. We have a meeting set up with her and Mrs. Logue, and our main goals are working on resume, cover letters, interviewing techniques, and then also to host a career fair at the high school. And then finally, we are going to work with Dave Kinman, put him on as a long-term Spanish substitute until mid-October. And then Dave will remain as a day-to-day sub for the district as well. We did contact Peacer's Retirement, and they did provide us with permission to utilize Dave as a long-term sub, and some of the other teachers who are retired as day-to-day substitutes as well. So we have our paperwork in order and ready to fill those vacancies. And we covered a lot in personnel. Are there any questions or comments or clarification needed at this time?
For the advertisement for the athletic trainer, are you advertising on like Indeed, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, any of those websites at all?
No, we didn't use those three, Brady. We put it on a website, various newspapers in the area, and then the handshake program that Carrie Armagos has shared with us. And that goes out to all the colleges in the area and target any kind of recent graduates.
Okay. It might be worth looking into those, because I know people from my age group use those websites a lot for finding jobs. So you might be able to find a recent graduate, that's not necessarily on handshake, or is not from the area but wants to move back to the area, something like that maybe.
Okay, thank you, Brady. Okay, moving down through instructional services, we have a whole host of information in from the school board this year, and these have been some culminating projects for a while. I'll start with the comprehensive plan. Just keep in mind that we're a phase 3 school district, and due to the pandemic, we had a 1-year extension. So we've been working for the last year and a half on this particular plan. We've had 3 community meetings, and we have the plan done, is ready for submission. And I'm not going to read the entire plan. It is in your packet. It's also on public display. It's kind of lengthy. There's a new portal that we have to utilize through the FCRP site, and we have everything updated. So we kept the mission statement the same. AC Valley, in conjunction with the community, will ensure a comprehensive education that inspires students to dream big, work hard, and act responsibly. And that's a fantastic mission statement, and one that principals utilize on a daily basis whenever they're working with kids. And then our vision statement, it remained the same as well. In a personalized, safe environment, the Allegheny Clarion Valley School District will prepare our students to be ready for the challenges of a diverse world, so they can meet and exceed high expectations in literacy innovation, analytical problem solving, strategic thinking, co-curricular and extracurricular opportunities, succeed in college and careers, be technologically adapted, value lifelong learning, live as a responsible and productive citizen, and demonstrates compassion, empathy, and achieve personal potential. And that's a vision statement that we've had for, I think, 3 different plans now. So close to 10 years we've been working with that mission and vision statement, and that remains the same. Now, we did choose to focus in on 3 particular areas for our goals, and the one is professional learning. So we'll continue to work with our staff, which is research-based, and it shows that there's a lot of positives that come from it, but we'll continue to work with our teachers to provide educational training and instructional strategies. So our professional learning goal is to improve instructional strategies, use of data from assessments to impact our instruction, and then curricular alignment. So we feel as if our curriculum's pretty aligned horizontally, but we're struggling with that vertical alignment. So as the students move from one grade to the next, we want to ensure that they have the competencies to be successful in the next grade. And then as we utilize the data and work with these students, we can speed up or slow down what we're teaching and how we're teaching. So we'll be working with staff members from IU6 on the instruction, the assessment, and curriculum. In addition to that, we chose safety as another goal. We'll continue to do the best job that we can to keep everybody safe by conducting biannual safety drills that will focus on the ALICE principles, and I am a certified ALICE trainer. Staff will be afforded the opportunity to participate and offer suggestions on improvements. And we touched on safety throughout the year and at most in-service days. We'll work in collaboration with the Clarion State Police as well as the AC Valley School Police. We'll continue to utilize the Barracuda door locking devices during drills, and if we ever had a crisis. We also have to-go safety bags in all the classrooms. We have updated safety plans. We have the secure vestibules that we'll be utilizing a single entrance during the days, and we'll follow all of the Act 44 requirements. And then with the new piece of legislation with Act 55, there will be additional training for me as a safety coordinator and the teachers. I think it's 1 hour per year that the teachers have to participate, which we've exceeded that, I think, just about every year with the trainings we do. So I feel comfortable with that goal. And then finally, we did have a PSSA and Keystone goal. So we had submitted and working with the building principals on their goals, as well as the other 2 plans that I'll be addressing shortly, to increase our PSSA and Keystone exams by 2% each year. So that would be in grades 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the Keystones. And we feel fairly confident that by continuing to focus in on our instruction, utilizing data, and ensuring that curriculum's aligned, that we can meet those goals. So that's a quick overview of the comprehensive plan for the district. And then aligned with that, Dr. Jordan and his team had worked on the high school plan, and same vision for learning, as far as our mission statement goes. And their priority is to utilize data to help guide instruction. They want to provide core testing content with various goals and specifically with mathematics. And then also the same goal as far as increasing the students who are both proficient and or advanced on the PSSA and Keystone exams. We want to create an environment of instruction based on data. So we have the data warehouse, the Ed Insight that we're able to purchase, and we have Scott Hagee coming into the opening in-service day to work with their teachers. He's already came up to work with the administrative staff, and this is the one-stop shop that uploads the information from our focus program, and it provides the staff members with a ease of access to focus in on not only classrooms, but grade levels, and even down to particular students. And he showed us the information embedded in that program where we can actually pull out specific areas of the PSSAs that we may be struggling. For example, open-ended responses. Last year, we weren't doing so great throughout the entire district on that. And as the administrative team was able to drill into that data, we identified the fact that we're not using those strategies throughout the year, not teaching the students how to break down that particular word problem and be able to do their best on it. So that'll help with the database decision-making. At the high school, we do very good with our growth scores. So some of the strengths from the 1920 data was that 83.7% of our students were at least at state average in math. And then in ELA, the average was 75% of our students. We also have the growth score for the 1920 school year at the high school from the school performance profile at 93%. So our growth is doing well, but the overall test scores at the end of the each grade level we're struggling with. So we're trying to figure out exactly, why are we getting the students to grow, and maybe they're not able to retain the information from year to year. So that's an area that we'll be focusing in on. So some of the focus on some of the challenges at the high school is the need to focus in on the achievement anchors. So if we all look at our curriculum is based off the state standards, we have supplemental textbooks and various other technology that we utilize to help support instruction. But as we're looking at our assessment data, it almost seems like we're trying to cram too much into a single school year, where Dr. Philman from IU6 is going to come down here, and we're going to break out the achievement anchors and work backwards from that. So as much as we struggle with it, we're going to make a renewed effort to teach to that test so that we have the content that will be focused in on. How we teach it, how we assess it, that's a local decision, but we got to focus in on what's being tested. And then we have to continue to work on our interventions for struggling students and focus in on those power standards, achievement anchors, as I talked about earlier, and really focus in on grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It seems like there's a dip in there, and then kids that are taking the Keystones in grades 9 through 12 seem to be doing a lot better. So moving down to the elementary school plan, the same vision for learning as the comprehensive plan in the high school. And Mrs. Longo, as well as Mrs. Sherman, had put together this plan. And we are a Title I school-wide elementary school. So there's a lot of Title I information embedded in here as far as the reading strategies and various staff members working with our students. So some of the strengths that Mrs. Sherman was able to pull out is that we are exceeding our career readiness goals at the elementary school. I believe we're at 100%. We've met all of them in the past. We're a one-to-one technology school and have a dedicated IT person here in the building to support student learning. ELA 2021 raw data for shows growth, and that's part of the Future Ready 2021 data. Regular attendance for students exceeds the interim target. And then we also use a iReady program down here at the elementary, and we've been struggling with some of our early learners because of COVID and the school years that have been interrupted. But the success that we had from this local data shows that the students moving from first grade into second grade are actually on grade level. And kudos to the teachers and the families and communities supporting that. And then it shows that the second grade students moving to third grade are about 67% on grade level. And then the Dibble score for the sixth grade students, we're at 73%. Our sixth grade ELA's really doing well. Mrs. Longer does a great job up there. Some of the challenges that we've been able to identify in the elementary school is the ELA percent proficient in advanced in all groups, and we did not meet our interim target. Again, like I said earlier, seems like we're close to state average in third grade, and then we drop a little bit as the kids work their way up through. And we have wonderful staff and all the resources I feel that they need to be successful. So we got to drill down a little bit deeper into the data, as I've been talking about, to see exactly where our limitations lie. And we'll continue to work on that. And just finishing, all students at the elementary in the tested grade areas at 39.2% of them are proficient or advanced, and the state average is 45.2%. So we got some work to do, but we are focusing in on it this school year, and we'll continue to provide updates as we work our way through. But that outlines those plans and renewed focus with the administration. Any question on those plans before I move down through this agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll continue down through. We do have a motion from the school board to approve a outside cyber student cost of $2,626.58. And that was the overall cost of our athletic budget divided by the number of students from the 1920 school year before the pandemic hit. And we don't have updated numbers right now, but that'll be close to where we're at. And then right below that, we have a AC Valley School District K through 6 school-wide title program handbook, and that's aligned with that school-wide title plan that we had talked about. So when the title team meets with community members and family members, they're able to give them the book, which is the plan, basically with our cover on it. So I'm not going to go back through all our strengths and weaknesses, but the big thing is that since we are school-wide, we're able to work with all the students. We're able to move the students in and out of various groups as they struggle, and then they become more proficient with the reading. And I was in watching the title teachers, and they do amazing work up there with those students. And it's a great team, and they do use a lot of data with that. So again, if we can get the kids to be able to read, communicate, and understand what they're reading, then I think everything else will fall into place. Now, the last two items under instructional is the AC Valley Union football team. The coaches came down and talked to the athletic department about playing all the home games over at Union. Now, that would be the home varsity games. And they just feel that the field is in better shape over there. And we've had a lot of discussion amongst our athletic committee meeting. We've weighed the pros and the cons with that, and I've provided the school board members with lots of information linked to that. I do understand where the coaches are at, but I also understand the importance of having football here at AC Valley on Friday night. And just as a reminder, we are slated to have 3 home football games during the 22-23 season.
So I have a couple comments about that subject. I'm kind of torn between it. If the field is a legitimate safety concern, then by all means, we should not be playing on it. But if it's just because Union has a better facility or a nicer top of the notch facility, I'm not in agreement with that at all. Just because they have a nicer facility doesn't mean we abandon the one we have. And if all the home games do get moved to Union's field, then that's roughly $4,400 a night that we're losing pretty much. We're not able to take in between concessions and between gate funds. So that's something to definitely take into consideration. If they are moved there, our boosters can be able to do like a switch back and forth with Union, or the nights that we were supposed to have them at our school. Can our boosters take care of concessions those nights at Union? This is something we can look into.
I started that conversation with Dr. Kimmel about the concessions, and he's been on vacation. So more to come on that. I'll share that with you and hopefully have that prior to Monday's meeting as we vote. Yeah, I understand everything that you're saying, Brady, and do align with your thoughts as well.
David, can I just make a comment? As part of the athletic committee, I just want to address Brady's concerns that I think this was definitely an issue of player safety. Not only our coaches, but other coaches have discussed the condition of our field. I've been at games where I've seen kids, break legs and whatever just due to the game itself. And I don't want to put an increased risk on players. I trust what the coaches are saying. I think our coaches would be upfront and honest about, having games at our field if it was a viable option. But I think I don't want to push the issue, too far, saying we need to have games at our field if there is truly a safety concern. And what we have been advised of, that is the case, and I think we have to put the player's safety first. And as I've said in the past, I said this in the athletic committee meeting, as a parent, it's kind of a bummer. I don't want to have to drive to Union for all of our home games. But if it means that my child may not, be as susceptible to injury because of the field that they're playing on, then I'm going to drive to Union to watch my kids play. Just my 2 cents there.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm going to throw in mine. I am totally against moving the games to Union. If we had a PIAA official say our field was not appropriate, or we had someone who was an official that would come in and say that, I would consider it. But at this point, I think we're doing a disservice to our community by moving the games over there.
But how are we to get that outside opinion, that impartial opinion, other than, I know we had someone come and look at the field and give us the estimates on what exactly needed fixed. I welcome any of the coaches or other people with insight that's outside of this board, to come in and explain that further. But, I don't know how we get that outside professional opinion on whether or not our field should be used for games. I know we've had other coaches say they will not come to us to play games on our field. But I don't know what that looks like. David and Bill and Dave Sherman have probably been involved in many more conversations with those types of individuals that can provide some insight.
Bill, do you
Yeah,
want to jump
wonder-
in and add anything? Oh, go ahead, Diane.
I just wonder who those teams are that won't come.
And if they don't come, do they forfeit? And we win.
That's a good question, and that's something that the KSAC would have to consider. From what I know, though, if they use safety of their players as an issue, they would probably be allowed to not play that game. And just to add comment to some of the other questions regarding, whether people will come here or not come here, I can tell you PIAA will not weigh in on it whatsoever. They don't want anything to do with the liability part of it, because as I mentioned to the athletic committee, as soon as you say the field is not safe, you're taking on personal liability, and the PIAA will not do that. I don't think that the coaches would necessarily say that, that would be the case either. I can tell you, I did have an official last year that came from Pittsburgh, northern Pittsburgh, and he said he can't believe that we even play on this field. He said most of the schools that he's dealt with have better practice fields than what we have as a playing field. And, so it's just those general comments. I understand, it's hurtful to the community not to have football. But my worry is, if one student athlete, whether it be our school or Union or another, breaks a leg, breaks an ankle, tears a tendon, and can't finish their season, that's on us, because we're having this discussion, and we know that there is the possibility that our field is, somewhat not up to standards.
I realize that, but you know, they do get broken bones and things on great fields too.
I mean, so if a visiting team or somebody declares our field unsafe, they won't play on it because it's unsafe. I would think there'd have to be somebody to verify that. If there was a forfeit option or something like that. So I would think that person would be the contact person to have to come down to our school and ask them their opinion and ask them their 2 cents about it. But who that person is or where that individual comes from, I don't know. And the other thing is, if we do start having all of our home games at Union, what is the likelihood of us getting our home games back if and when we do fix the football field? Then, if they're there for a couple of years, who's to say that they come back to AC Valley then at some point?
Are you asking me, Brady?
I think it's just a ongoing discussion that we're having, Bill, as far as, some of our concerns, and everybody makes some very valid points. The bottom line is we do need a football field renovation. We're working on it. It may take time and lots of money with that. I was talking to the school solicitor, Zach Shekel, and we went over that, and the field is not in great shape. And his point was it never has. We've been playing on that same field. It's not any worse or any better than it has been. We're working as hard as we can to try to locate grant money to update that football field, because the last thing we want to do is lose football on a Friday night. We're just in a very difficult situation because it's a part of our facilities that's needed updates, like the track and the auditorium, for a good number of years. And due to the fact that we're severely underfunded and all our money goes out to outside cyber schools, we're in this situation. So we can't blame anybody here on the call or the community or the coaches or anybody else. They want the best for their kids. We understand that. The school board wants the best for the district and our community, and we're at a very difficult crossroads at this time. We'll continue to look into that. We'll have Dr. Jordan look into the KSAC PIAA to gather information about what if teams don't play. That's going to be the concern. If we do have games here, what if teams don't want to play? What does that look like? And who's not willing to play down? Maybe we can reach out to those schools and provide information on Monday.
I'd like to add one more thing.
Sure.
The younger kids are playing on the field this year. So, I mean, I don't know. We have a lot to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. They're playing on there. We utilize it for health and physical education classes up there. And I think youth football had the championships up at that field last year. So we'll continue on with that discussion and provide the school board with a little bit more information on Monday before the vote. And finishing off, we do have a discussion associated with the marching band. Dr. Jordan will report Monday, the 15th, to the school board how many kids showed up. I did see an email from Dr. Tolio, and he said he has 24 students confirmed and potentially 30. So we're very optimistic with those numbers, and specific information will be presented in 1 week. Now, as we finish off, this is aligned back to school safety and a couple policies that are in need of review and updates. We have policy 249, bullying, cyberbullying, in front of you this evening. And I just want to share some of this information with you. The board is committed to providing a safe, positive learning environment for district students. The board recognizes that bullying creates an atmosphere of fear and intimidation and distraction from a safe environment necessary for student learning and may lead to more serious violence. The board prohibits bullying, and that policy has been in place. And there's some information specific to this policy that I just want to clarify. Bullying is any kind of intentional electronic, written, verbal, or physical act or series of acts that's directed at one another students, which occurs in a school setting and or outside of the school setting. And that's the piece that I really want to drive down, is outside of the school setting, and that's going to be addressed in policy 218 as well. Students are encouraged to report any kind of bullying, and then the administration does the investigation. According to this policy, we do have some bullying report forms that I shared with the principals and the dean of student that we'll continue to utilize as well. But just keep in mind that a lot of times the students or maybe the parents we hear from, specifically say that the issues associated with bullying, where it could be a simple argument. And again, we try to create an environment of respect, and there's nothing but, kids will be kids and potentially working through a situation. So really the investigation from the principals are most important as they get into the situation to see if it's ongoing, if it's substantial, and if it's actually considered bullying or potentially an argument. And if it is bullying, then they will be held accountable according to the code of conduct. And then if it's a Title IX sexual harassment or other type of discrimination, that opens up another policy that Dr. Jordan, our Title IX coordinator, will work in. So there's a lot that goes into the investigations, and our policies up to date and aligned with everything that PSBA has. And again, the students don't have to fill out the complaint in the reporting form. They can provide a verbal complaint where the administrators will definitely have the students write it down on paper so that we can do an investigation. But our number one goal is to keep everybody safe, and adhering to policy 249 bullying is one way to do so. Now moving down into and kind of aligned to that is policy 218 student discipline. Now there are some changes in front of the school board here. The board shall establish a fair and reasonable and non-discriminatory rules and regulations regarding the conduct of all students in the district. The board shall adopt a code of student conduct to govern student discipline. Students shall not be subject to discipline actions because of race, color, religion, sex orientation, or anything like that. Each student, though, while on campus, must adhere to board policies and the code of conduct governing student discipline. So once the students step on campus or are coming and going from campus activities, and I'll go a little bit deeper into that, the board prohibits any violation of this code of conduct and enables the administration to hold the students accountable. So on and off campus activities, and this is where it gets a little tricky. This policy and code of student conduct apply to the behavior of students at all times during the time they are under the supervision of the school or any time while on school property, while present at a school-sponsored activity, and while traveling to or from school and school-sponsored activities, or at any other times while riding a school-sponsored transportation, which is all considered on campus. This policy and the code of conduct also applies to student behavior that occurs at other times, which is considered off campus. And I'll break that down a little bit more on page 2. That conduct involves threats or making or makes more likely to violence use of force. Let me start over here. This conduct involves threatening or making more likely violence, use of force, or other serious harm directed at a student, staff, or school community member. The substantially disrupted an activity that interferes with the environment of the educational process, such as school activities, schoolwork, discipline, safety, or other school property or functions associated with school, and or conduct that interferes or threatens to interfere with the rights of the students. The conduct or motive for it could impact the school safety here on campus. So theoretically, if the student's off campus and they're making the threat, whether it's be online, verbal, or whatever it may be, then we can actually hold them accountable if it disrupts the educational environment here within the district. So we do have that outlined within this policy, and it is a little wordy there, obviously, and that came straight from PSBA, but we'll adhere to that and continue to work with our administrators and school police officer. Now, the last piece of this policy is when a student's behavior indicates a threat to the safety of the student or other student, school employees, school facilities, the community, or others, district staff shall report the student to the threat assessment team, and the Pennsylvania State Police will be contacted in accordance to the policy as well. So we have that outlined, and a couple policies that we use. They're part of our Safe Schools report at the end of the year, and in need of update as well. So that's the policies for you this evening. Moving down through, we don't have anything under facilities and under transportation. We do have a couple motions that were stemming from the audit that we had 2 years ago. So we do want to designate Lori Sherman as our transportation director to oversee the routes for the school year, and she can make necessary adjustments. And then in addition to that, we have a list of contractors and drivers in front of you for board approval for the school year as well. And Lori makes sure that all the appropriate clearances and interview with the transportation director it takes place before they start to drive. We actually have some buses in the back parking lot this evening, and they're working with new drivers. And then we don't have anything under miscellaneous. There's no reports at this time, but on Monday we'll be able to provide them to you. And we did get an email late from Irwin Transportation that they'd like to add Brad Rapp as a substitute driver. So on Monday, we'll see that motion under there as well. We'll make sure that all his appropriate clearances are on file as well. And at this time, I don't have anything underneath old business or new business, and I'll open it up for any final comment or suggestions from the school board at this time.
I'm just going to remind everybody, David, that we are going to look at your evaluation on next Monday night. So if everybody would be prepared to discuss that, it would be appreciated.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, if there's anything that's needed between now and next Monday, please contact me in the office. And at this time, we'll go ahead and conclude the meeting, and thank you all for your time.
Have a good night,